Hi everybody, welcome. Hope you guys can actually see me pretty clearly, or mostly clearly. I am Alicia Dianne and welcome to Making a Graphic Novel. I'm excited to be here with you all. I'm going to be let me see if I need any extra lights. I'll be putting those up, making some space. But I hope you guys are having a great week. I am very happy to be here. I just started my new job today. I'm teaching comics at this really cool place. It's a nonprofit. It's really exciting, and so I'm looking forward to it. But I am going to be doing some inking today with you all. And I realized I'm doing a dream sequence, so hopefully, I just realized actually while I was helping teach today that I could actually change the shape of my panels for like doing a dream sequence. And I hadn't really thought of that before, so I guess that's one of the cool things about teaching is sometimes you learn things on the job, like the students teach you, or you might have another teacher show you something that you hadn't thought of before, or even maybe you're like repeating something to yourself that you didn't think of really before, and all of a sudden it just comes full circle, like, oh, I can do it that way. And so that's kind of what happened to me. So I did already start inking these, but I mean the good thing is, so if you guys can see this panel here, it's like a flashback scene where Jaydi is a little bit younger, and she's like going to this worship place with her mom. But anyway, that's besides the point. I'm gonna just work with what I have and see if I can do something later in Photoshop to make it more apparent, I guess, that it is not actually happening in the moment. It's like a flashback or like a dream. So let me go ahead and switch my view so you guys can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to rotate this until it's readable. Doesn't need to be like perfectly clear, but readable is what we're going for. That's pretty good. I'm going to leave it like that. Might add some more lighting just to make it even like more clear. Hopefully my pooch doesn't start chewing the wires or anything like that, because I did tell you guys in my last video that I did get an amazing little poochie named Skipper, who was a 2-month-old golden doodle puppy and is absolutely darling and amazing. But let's go ahead and show you guys what I'm doing and what we'll be working on today. So let's see. I want to talk today about a few things, but I think I want to start off with like timing. I kind of want to just delve into the fact that, which is something that most of us already know, is just things that don't just happen necessarily when we want them to, but at the same time it's like you gotta think, how long do you wait for something? And I think the more important question is, how bad do you really want that thing? So like right now, I'm in this position where I am doing things I love and I'm doing things that I don't love at the same time, which I think is probably confusing to my mind, right? Because my mind is like, I'm doing one thing that I love, which is making comics, but I'm doing this other thing that I don't love, which is not my new job, but another job that I'm working kind of to like make ends meet. And I'm not sure what to do about it. Like, I'm kind of in a waiting phase, I feel like, with it. I feel like I'm kind of doing this other job that could potentially, like on paper, sounds really good because I'm getting to teach and I'm getting to also work on art, which is what I want to do. But at the same time, the actual place doesn't feel right for me. it doesn't feel like it's a good fit. And like, I thought that a little bit at first, and I just kind of ignored it. You know, when you get that like feeling in your mind, like, I don't really think this is the right thing for me, but you just kind of keep going with it. Well, that's kind of like the story of my life, because I tend to do that kind of a lot. I tend to kind of say, I don't really think this feels right for me, but I tend to like kind of stick things out to an extent. I mean, even though that's a lot of times, even though like eventually I do come to my senses, like I never stayed at a job that I didn't like for that long. I always like would talk it over in my mind, figure out, you know, if it's really, really like I can't stand this place, then I just leave. You know, that's one of the things that I do. That's why, that's why I haven't stayed at really like a day job for more than a year, honestly. Just because I always end up feeling like this is not the right place for me. But more often, it's been that it hasn't been a creative environment. You know, it's been like a place where I'm working, you know, as a waitress, or I'm working as like serving drinks, or like a cocktail waitress, or like I've done stuff where I'm working in an office, and like that can be brutal, just kind of like doing people's filing and their bills. That can be a little bit like unbearable. It seems like at times, like, oh god, this is like, can't get worse than this. Like, it can feel that way sometimes. And oftentimes, you know, whenever I'm in that situation, it might take me a minute, because I'm trying to stick it out and trying to like, you know, I guess bite the bullet in a way. And then it's like, I can't. After a while, my brain is just like, no, we're not doing this anymore. This place or this position will be the end of me. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's like a both, like a two-edged sword sort of a thing, where it feels like, okay, I'm making progress, I'm doing something good, but at the same time, I know this is not the right position for me. And to be honest, like, now that I think about it, recently I heard like a teacher speaking about this. Actually, it was my pastor speaking about this and saying, like, you know, if you're in a job and you can't stand it, you really don't like it, and you need to get out of there. Like, doesn't matter if it's, you know, keeping the roof over your head or what. You need to get out of there, because slowly and surely it will kill you one way or another. I'm not telling you to quit your job, but I'm not telling you to not quit your job either if you are in a similar predicament as me. Or more importantly, positions that I have been in my past. Positions that felt like really challenging. Hold on a second. I forgot to turn off I always keep my phone on silent, but sometimes my iPad will start ringing whenever. So that's actually my mom. I'm gonna have to call her back and see what's up. But anyway, got my train of thought, you see. I think I'll get it back though, very quickly. The point I was trying to make was, yeah, like quitting your job or being in the wrong position for you, and you know that's like the wrong position for you. I don't know, I think there's like it's almost worse, isn't it? If it's like some of your needs are met through the job, like you feel a little bit on track, but you don't in other areas, because I think that's like the red zone where it keeps you stuck, where you're like, oh, well, it's not that bad, sort of a thing. When you're absolutely miserable, you can't stand it, then you're like, alright, I'm not even going to give them a 2 weeks notice. I'm just like not coming back. I've done that I've done that a few times. where it's like, this is definitely not right. But at the same time, I know, like, I have to get some things done before I get the job that I want, that I really, really want. And I think I've talked to you guys about it before, and that job that I really want is a position at Disney Feature. If I want to be specific, I want to be an art director, and it's like, that's a big that's a big job, like, right? That's not like a simple little thing that you just apply for online and, you know, that's the end of it. And I know that you don't just, like, typically, you're not just going to start there, right? You're going to need to do some apprenticing, or you're going to need to do, like, some sort of, you know, in a sense, working with someone and then seeing how they do their job, and then you can kind of take over. It's kind of like in my new position that I'm doing right now, where I started as a volunteer, you know, and I was there for a full semester just volunteering, and I even thought I would just volunteer again for summer, but it turned out that they ended up offering me a teaching assistant job. So I moved from being a volunteer to a teaching assistant, like on staff. So that was, you know, unexpected in a way, but it's kind of like you have to. And it's funny thing is, I applied for the same place to work, maybe about a year and a half ago, and they offered me like the volunteer job, and I turned it down, and I said, no, I really need like a paying job. And it was true. I mean, I was really struggling. I didn't know how I was gonna, like, you know, I was trying to save up because I was supposed to be going on my first trip to Kenya for a mission trip, and I had, even though it's a mission trip, you still have to pay for your flight and your hotel. It was going to be $4,000, and I knew that, like, I needed a paying job. So I ended up taking a different job that I ended up hating, even though it paid decently. I hated the job. I didn't end up staying there, but it was like a lesson learned, because I had an inclination about the nonprofit. I had an inclination that I was supposed to be there for some reason, and I was like, but I don't know, I think I was just too frustrated at the moment. I was still taking classes, I was still in school, and I was, you know, still trying to get work in animation, and a couple of people had offered me like I kept on getting offers to like work for free. And, you know, once you listen to a few people online, especially like professional artists, and they tell you not to work for free, and that's the thing, I've done that before. I've done, like, you know, in college when I was doing my 4-year degree, my bachelor's degree, I did do some free work, you know. I did do some of that. I didn't do a whole lot, but I did like one semester of like working for free. And after I got out of college, I kind of got screwed over with my first freelance job, because I did a whole lot of work, like at least like several $100s worth of work, and I only got paid like $100 deposit. And I told them, like, you know, they're gonna need to pay me if they continuously want to make all these changes that they were requesting. And so they're like, no, we're not paying you for that. And so it ended up just like ending my deal with them, but they never paid me for all the work that I did. And that really scarred me, but at the same time it was a good tough lesson right out the gate of like freelancing, especially for, you know, independent clients who are not necessarily professional completely. Like, they're not professional. They're not going to pay you for your working. You're not professional, you know, especially if you're doing like a big project for them, you know. But anyway, I was kind of pissed already that I kept getting these offers to work for free. So I just wasn't in the right space to do it, you know, what they wanted me to do, which was do the volunteering. And, you know, it still was a long drive. I knew it was going to be across town, like an hour drive every day. And so I turned it down. But
something about that one told me, like, there's a thing too where you have to like kind of listen to what's happening inside, because sometimes it's more than instinct, it's more than intuition, and sometimes it's like, you know, a guiding force telling you this is what you should do right now. And I just shunned it out, and I said, no, I need, you know, I need to be paid for this. I didn't trust the process, I guess, is probably the best way to put it. I didn't trust the process in that moment enough. So I turned the job down. A lot of stuff happened. I ended up moving to Georgia during the pandemic, and I stayed there for 6 months. Anyway, while I was like on the tail end of being in Georgia, I reached back out to that nonprofit and I said, hey, you know, I applied there before. I couldn't work for free at the time, but I'd be interested if you have any openings, you know, to volunteer now. And thankfully, you know, they took me on. Like, the same person wasn't there anymore. It's really strange, actually. The person who interviewed me, who really liked me apparently for the job, you know, had passed away last year. And so that was kind of eerie, but thankfully there was another person on staff who had met me. She was actually like a secretary when I went there, but I remember, like, when I went there the first time to apply and do my interview, even though she was like the secretary, I still remember like saying hello to her and asking her about her day and stuff like that. That's why you always need to be nice to people. And now that I go there, she's like the head guy in charge, you know. The other guy who actually interviewed me, he passed away, and a couple of other people left the company, but she's still there, and she's, you know, and I think it was good that at least I treated her with the good respect that she actually deserved to be treated with, you know, and not just because what I used to be is just too shy to say hi to any people that I didn't need to. And I just wouldn't say anything, not because I didn't want to talk to people, but just because I was so shy before. I didn't like really make myself talk to people kind of like I do now. So just some of the things I learned. But I mean, I still want to talk about timing, you know, and trusting the process, because I do feel like right now I'm in another waiting period. Even though I have this one job that I do, like, it's a temporary job, you know. It's a summer, it's only for summer. The nonprofit job is only for July. Hopefully they'll invite me back if everything goes well for this semester for the fall. But it's also, I feel like it's more like a training ground. Like, right now I'm learning how to be a teacher, but teaching is not my end goal. It's not the only thing I want to do. I want to do teaching as, like, how do I explain it? I don't know how to explain it without just fully just blurting it all out. I want to open an art school. I want to open an art school in Kenya, actually. And I know that's probably several decades out, but that's one of my big goals. And I want to know about teaching. I want to know how it works. I want to know, like, how to do it if I need to, and when I need to, and how to do, like, workshops for children, because I ultimately want to open a school. But I also have a shorter term goal to get this studio experience, you know, because that's like been my dream for many years, and I just want to have that experience, you know. I want to know if it's everything like I feel like it is, or I just want to gain, like, that knowledge and, like, knowing, like, how to do this in a really professional way, because ultimately I want to be able to pass that on to people who children, really, who might not have even thought about that possibility. You know, I grew up in New York, and I didn't even think that was a possibility when I was a kid. Like, I remember the first time somebody showed me how they make a comic, and I couldn't believe that you could actually make your own comic. I was like, what? We can do that? We're allowed to make a comic ourselves? I couldn't even like fathom it. It was so incredibly cool to me that I just started making a bunch of comics when I was a kid, and I didn't even realize how many, like, that was really one of my, how I got into drawing in a lot of senses. I mean, I already loved drawing, I already loved painting. I would like just, you know, doodle stuff, but I didn't know I could. Once I found out how to tell a story with drawing, oh, it was over. It was like, I love this, you know. But now it's like I have a story and I'm telling it, but oh, it's going so slow. And I know that like I procrastinated on this, and it hurts me to even say that, but I know that I have, and I know that I could have been done with this already. But I think this is, I don't know if it's like, it's the thing, I've told many stories with drawing before, but this is different. I don't know why. Maybe I'm thinking it's different when maybe it's not that different. Maybe it's the same thing. It's just, it feels, I've never worked on a single project for this long, that's for one. I never worked on something this scale, that's another one. And so all of those things can be intimidating. And there's another point that I have too. I never worked on something that I think felt so meaningful. It felt like it had like a deeper purpose for me, like this one does. Like, this is an incredibly personal story for me at this point. And maybe just all of that weight, maybe I should just take some of that off, because I don't want just like the gravity of it to stop me from it, which I feel like is probably what's happened a few times with this project. Just feeling like it's so important that, oh, like like it's, I don't know, or maybe just it's so big, it's like, it feels like I'll never finish, sort of a thing. Like, I always hear that it's like, also same teacher, same pastor, I was also listening to him this morning, and he's saying like, oh, you know, like, no one ever quits like right at the beginning of a marathon, or like right at the end. It's always somewhere in the middle where you can't really see the end, and you can't see where you started anymore. You just kind of, you know, in this space, and that's where most people quit. And it made me think, like, wow, am I doing that? Is that what I've done? But I can see the end goal, but it's under a lot of stacks of paper, and maybe it's just too big of a stack. It makes me feel like intimidated or whatever, but I'm trying to like make sure that I keep going, even if I'm, you know, doing it on YouTube or Facebook Live, you know. And also, like, obviously this is only for like an hour. If you're in animation or comic making, like, an hour is like, it's nothing. It's something. I think that's also what's limited my thinking too. I feel like if I don't have a whole day to work on it, if I don't have like a good 4-hour chunk to work on it, usually I don't bother, right? I don't know if you've probably done that same thing before. I'm like, I can't get anything done in less than 4 hours, I kind of feel like. Which is, you know, I get it. It's true, you're not going to get a lot done in under 4 hours, but you're going to get a lot less done if you don't work on it at all in a whole week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, which I've done. And I don't, it's embarrassing for me because I think that's contributed to like a lot of the stress I've been experiencing lately. Just knowing that I have something that I want to finish and that I personally decided that I would be finished with by now, but I haven't finished. And that is like a point of stress for me. And like I realized that, and I'm trying to do something to change that, but it's like I'm still trying to figure out what it is that was making me procrastinate in the first place. And I guess that's why I want to talk about it. And I think, you know, I can get down on myself too sometimes, like, oh, like I never got this dream job yet that I want, that I know I want, so maybe I'm just not a good enough artist or whatever. And I know that's just like talk in my head. Like, what was the name of that? I was just watching something, that movie that new movie, Luca. What does he say? Shut up, something. What is his name? It starts with a B. It's like the inner voice, but he calls it something with a B. Bruno. Something Bruno. Yeah, what does he say? I need to like write that on my wall in my studio. My little homemade studio, but studio nonetheless. Silencio Bruno. I think that's it, right? That's it. Silencio Bruno. That's what I need to write on my wall. I need to do that. Okay. That's like shutting up that like inner critic that's in your voice. I don't know if you guys saw the new Disney Pixar movie, Luca. It's on Disney Plus. They're not paying me. I just promote Disney for free. You guys should know that about me by now. But I don't know. At the same time, I feel like, you know, I'm not ready to work to get the dream job until I finish this. Until this book is done. I don't know if it's one volume. I don't know if it's all 9 volumes. But I know for a fact nothing is happening before I finish this first volume. Like, nothing is happening for me until this is done and in the books. And it's a wrap. And I kind of prove to myself and to my maker that I can be obedient in this sense and do this project that I am supposed to be doing, you know, using my whatever talent that I do have to tell, you know, a story that I hope to be inspiring. And I know this is like part of my mission, I guess you could say. So I don't know why I'm procrastinating on it. Why? What's the point? I already know that I need to do this to get the other things that I want, and I need to do this to kind of make room for the rest of the plan, you know, the quote unquote plan, which is like, you know, I guess I don't know how to explain. Yes, I do know how to explain it. I know that I need to finish this, but at the same time, it's like I haven't been doing it like I know I need to. So, how do you push past it? I almost want to say you can't. Like, you can't, like, push past the feeling, but you can make yourself just do it anyway, which is kind of what I'm doing right now, which is, I think, the only thing that you can do is just decide that you're just going to do it anyway. Like, the voice inside of me still, like, was probably yapping up until, like, right until I sat down and saying, no, nah, we don't need to do it right now. It's already late. I had to do my figure drawing first, so that made me more late. I was supposed to record it yesterday, but I got a flat tire, so I couldn't because I wasn't home. And therefore I got home late, and I couldn't take my son to the, you know, community center. And so, nah, why bother? But despite the fact that I'm late, despite the fact that, you know, all of this other jazz, oh, you're not gonna have enough time or whatever, I still made the decision to sit down and just do this anyway. And no matter if you know, I'm starting 20 minutes late or whatever, I'm still doing it. I'm still getting the work done. That is what mattered to me. And I think that's like the only way to like get past it, is to just keep pushing past it, right? Keep on going despite of what the self-talk says. It's that silencio bruno. And how about you? Do you have things where like you've had to, you know, get into your own head, and you've had to like say, hey, you know? But it's just like a workout, you know, which is also something I haven't particularly done in a minute. Once you starting is the hardest part, I think. It's the same thing with art. Art is a lot like working out, you know. It's better with music or background noise. And it's always hardest just to start. It's the hardest part of the whole thing. But once you actually get going, it's not so bad. And I think we all kind of realize that eventually. But it's not always like immediate. Sometimes it takes longer than others. I think the biggest takeaway is just like realizing that I've had something stuck in my throat all day long. Trying to, I don't want to scare the kids today with my coughing, but I know I needed to cough. And like, I'm like, oh no, these kids are gonna think I have the COVID. Great. Oh no, I don't have the COVID, hopefully, pray to God, but I do have the vaccination, so both of them, so I think I'm good according to science. I guess I'm good. But oh yeah, I had this like frog in my throat all morning and I couldn't get it out. I had to like take mints, kept on drinking water. It was bananas. But eventually it went away. But it did take some time. Alright. And also know that it's not going to be perfect. Like, I messed up so many times since I started inking. And it's like, it's never going to be perfect. It can't be. You just have to do it anyway. And realize, yeah, I'm working with ink. It's gonna mess up sometimes. So what? What's the other option? Is to just not do the work? That's not, you know, it's not doable to not do it. It's not an option. So it's like, do it and mess up then. Well, try your best. Do some practice drawings first. That's why I did my figure drawing. You know, just to loosen me up and so I feel good when I'm drawing. But if I mess up along the way, then I'll just have to fix it in Photoshop. And use my white marker. I mean, there's nothing else you can really do. If you mess up, You mess up. Silenzio Bruno. That's like my theme for today. Silenzio Bruno. So I gotta fix this part of her lip. And I'm okay with that. And I'll fix the coloring later when I get into Photoshop. But in the meantime, you know, just gotta get it done. There's no time to waste any other mess. Alright. And there's this. You guys see what I'm doing still? My nails aren't done anymore. Had to do some budget cuts. So that was one of the things I guess that had to go for now. I don't know if I'm gonna get them back. I'm tired of taking nails off because of the price. And they're not like getting cheaper anyway. They're keep on getting more expensive, it feels like. I used to get a full set for 20 bucks and a fill-in for 14. Where are those days gone? Not anymore. We're not getting paid more than we were 20 years ago, but we sure are getting charged more. Where is the money going? I don't know. We need some Bernie Sanders up in here. Somebody. I don't know. And it just feels like, I don't know where that rant came from, but I'm paying like almost $5 a gallon for gas. And I'm not going to be talking politics, don't worry. But it's facts, man. Paying a lot more and not paying more, but we're not getting paid more. That's the one thing that needs to change in this environment. And I also think that I'm gonna add some actual color to my ladies here, because I want their skin color to be a little bit more prominent than it is right now. By prominent, I mean darker. Just FYI. Silenzio Bruno. Alright. See if I can find a color I want to work with. And I'll deepen some of these shades up a little bit. Definitely need to darken her skin over in this panel. Try to like get the right amount of paint on the paper without overdoing it. It's gonna be spreadable, but I don't want it to like bleed or anything like that. So even though I'm already inked it and everything, if I see like I need to enhance the color, then I'm gonna go ahead and do that. If you go pretty, you know, gently, you don't go directly over the ink necessarily, you can still get in there and like do that. You can see like it's not bleeding. If I use like too much water, too much paint, it probably would start bleeding, but because I didn't use that much, I think it's alright. I want to get her skin tone more the color that I'm looking for, which is a nice medium chocolatey brown. Sometimes it looks more like the color I want it to look like, and then once I put the ink on, I'm just like, no, that's way too fair. I want to give her a nice chocolatey color. so I'll have to go back over it. And especially Jaydi, because Jaydi and her father are the same color, and they're darker than the mom and her brothers and sisters. So Jaydi has her father's skin tone, and Bandeli is a little bit in between. But Hedi, the baby sister, is the exact same color with the mom, just like Jaydi's the exact same color with her dad. But I'm just gently going back over some of these areas, and wherever I went that's like dried a little bit, I might need to go back and add some water so I can spread that back around. Do gotta be careful, it's watercolor, it's very finicky, and if you overwork it, it will show. There's no forgiveness in watercolor. Just remember that. There is no forgiveness in watercolor. No leniency. This is not for punks. I say that because that's what Pastor Kyle always says, and he's from my favorite TV show, which is Married at First Sight. I don't know if anybody watches that show, but it's a reality show on Lifetime, I know, but it's amazing, and it starts again tonight, and I can't wait. I will probably need to keep working while I'm watching it, because I need to get a lot of work done. I don't have time to just sit and do nothing. So give me some inspiration so I can actually work while I watch TV tonight, because I don't want to not work. Don't have time for that. I just want to make it a habit where whenever I sit down to TV, I have my drawing supplies with me. It's not a bad idea to start if you want to do something like that too. Because what's the point of just sitting down just to sit down? Why not just bring your art supplies and just draw something or paint something while you're watching TV? TV is such a pointless thing to do anyway. It feels pointless, especially if you've been, if you're wasting too much time. It's like, oh, I think I took the wrong. Did I take the wrong color for her? No, that's alright. It's fine. And Jaydi's color is a little bit more, if you guys can see, it's a little bit more woodsy. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like more of a mahogany, just more red in her complexion. It's a deeper brown, but it's a nice brown. Just want to make sure that I get that color in there. Ear, her arms, and I will also, not yet, but I'll go ahead and I'll do the pattern for the clothes and whatever else I need to do. Oh man, I'm looking at this one and I'm seeing I need to also add some color, but let's see. I think I'll do it on this one first, because this is the next page I'm going to be inking, so just add some color to it. Even if it's just a little bit here and there. I want to make sure I have that nice color in there. I think Jaydi's color is actually good for this panel. With this one over here, I need to darken up. In her chest area, her neck. All of her skin needs to be like more in the right range. So I'll just touch on them and get them going so they can be the color I like. Alright. This arm over here. This is a really cool panel because I actually have like the sound of her voice coming off of the page, and it actually transforms into this beautiful bird. You guys will see that. You guys can see it kind of flutters off, and then it becomes this, like, it's almost like a it reminds me of a phoenix, but it's more based off of like the crowned crane, which is a African bird, a real bird. But this particular bird is like it's how do I say it? It's like from a legend. It's like this singing bird that, you know, what does it do? It like distracts everybody from their work. So like everybody comes to try and chop this tree down where this bird is singing. I know I'm not going to do this story much justice because I haven't read it in a while, but I'll try and do the best I can. So it's like this singing bird, and it comes to the village and it distracts everyone from their work. It has a beautiful song, but it distracts everyone so they can't get their work done. So the men of the village try to go, you know, chop the tree down so they can get back to their work, and they're very unsuccessful because as soon as they go to chop it down, the bird starts singing and they get all distracted, and so they can't do it. And so the younger men come and they try to do it, and they get distracted, and so they can't do it. And then finally, like, the children of the village come, and so they come and they try to chop the tree down, and the singing doesn't bother them. They just are able to work anyway. And so it's saying that sometimes, I guess the moral of the story is that sometimes children can do work that adults can't do. Sometimes, you know, don't neglect, I guess, the importance of a child. And so I thought that was pretty cool, you know. So I wanted to incorporate that folk tale into this story, and there's a couple of folk tales that I actually secretly, but not so secretly, implant into this book. So I thought that was kind of fun that, you know, it's just kind of in there like that. And so I'm going to give some of the other people some nice chocolatey skin tones also. So I want their skin to show. We are in Africa. Even though their skin alone is not telling us that, I just want it to be known that this is a village that people love nice, rich, chocolatey skin. And that's the story that I'm trying to tell. So that's one thing. Sometimes you might need to go over your colors. Sometimes you might need to change your colors if it's not in line with the story you're trying to tell. If I was to just leave them without going back over them, then it would give the right, it just wouldn't be have the right feeling that I want for the page and ultimately the story. So I mean, you gotta check every page, not overwork any of them or like get obsessed with any of the pages, but just make sure that it looks like what you want it to look like, you know. And I just felt like it wasn't necessarily doing that for me. I had to come back and update it a little bit and add that color in there. that I want to see. Not giving everybody the same complexion. I have a couple of shades of brown that I'm using. They might be similar, and that's okay. I just don't want them to be exactly the same in like uniform. So I'll vary them up a little bit. Rinse out my brush and grab another color. So that we can get this going how we want it to. It's not the color I wanted either. Sometimes you might need to poke around a little bit to get the right color that you want. What else can we talk about today besides timing? Oh yeah, I don't know if I finished talking about timing. Like saying I feel like I do need to finish this project before I know the other things will have the opportunity even to show up for me like how I want them to. I know that there's certain things I need to get done, and one of them is this book. But I don't know. That's just how I think. I mean, only time can really tell. It's the thing too. It's like you can't see what's gonna happen. You can only like kind of predict on what's happened to you before, what's happened to other people before, and what you kind of feel is the right thing to do in your mind and in your heart. Like what's the next thing that you're supposed to be doing. But other than that, we all have to, or many of us have to kind of wait. Very few people get what they want automatically, you know. And the people that do, I wonder if that's even a good thing or if it's a bad thing. Because I mean, I hear over and over again that you can't really appreciate something if you didn't have to work for it. So there are a few people, you know, a small number that might get the job like right out of college, and maybe they do appreciate it, you know, and really take it for what it is, or maybe they don't. They just get, because I definitely met a few people that had an ego, you know. I met many who haven't, but I've definitely met a few who have had the ego, like I got this job because I'm just that good, and it's like, well, you know, no, you're good, but there's a lot of other people who are good too that didn't, you know. So I don't know if it was just fate or what, but it's more than just being good enough, because there's a lot of people that are good enough that don't get opportunities. That's how I feel. And I don't know, I think we need people talking about that in general, you know. Just the fact that not everyone is always going to get the same opportunities. And, you know, maybe people who do want this need more chances to be able to get the type of jobs that they want, you know. Because we want to work. People want to work. You know, a lot of politicians and others who maybe are not in tune with certain communities might think, oh, well, this group of people, this ethnic group of people just doesn't really like to work. And personally speaking, that couldn't be further from the truth, because I don't know anybody who doesn't want to work. There's a lot of people that want to work that can't get the jobs that they're even qualified for, you know, or it's not available in their area, or they don't have access to the right training, or even they go and they get trained and they still can't find the opportunities, you know. So I would think first before people say, or you believe anybody that says, well, this people group doesn't want to work or whatever, you know, because a lot of times that's just a bunch of malarkeys. I think. I think that's just not necessarily always the case. But, you know, what do I know? I'm just a cartoonist. I'm just a lady with a paintbrush. What do I know? I'm trying to learn. I might not know a lot of things, but certainly trying to learn some stuff. Trying to get there. Some things are certainly harder to get to than others, but don't give up. There's a moral to the story. And it is, keep going. You might not be there yet. You might not see the end, but we can all keep trying and keep going, right? We can attempt to get there one way or another. Okay, I'm gonna let these sit and dry. And I'm going to go ahead and try to do this other page. I dabbled on it a little bit, but I want to get some more of it done. And this is just a micron brush pen, just in case anyone was wondering. I've been using this for like kind of like mostly doing the outside lines, and on the inside I'm using like the 005. You might need to flip it around a little bit to get like that really nice sharp point that's in there. Alright, you might need take a little bit of time with it. What else can we talk about today? Oh, I guess it's time that I can start talking about this project that I'm working on. It's actually a children's book that I got the opportunity to be an illustrator for. I'm actually not the writer for this one. It's a really awesome lady. Her name is Denisha Pratt. She is an actress, and she is also a great lady who does a lot of volunteer work. She's a mom. Her kids are also in acting. Her husband, I know he's a musician. He does some work for a local church. But the book is called Hats. And Hats is going to be released coming up pretty soon. I want to show you guys some work. I'm going to put some stuff up on my website for it soon. It's a really cool project that I really feel, you know, a lot of times freelance jobs are like, you know, kind of, some of them can be painful. Some of them can be like, you know, I don't take personally projects that I don't feel like align with me necessarily as far as morally, or like, you know, something that I feel like depicts something that I wouldn't, you know, don't feel like is aligned with me. I've got asked to do like some weird stuff before, and I'm just like, yeah, that's not what I do, you know. But this one was like right on the money with me. It was like right on the mark. It was like something that it definitely felt like a collaboration. It didn't feel like I'm just doing this project for you and this is just your project. It felt like I got it, like I could understand it. I felt like the story resonated with me because it is about like a father who's passed away, and it did remind me of, like, for me it reminded me like of my grandfather. Never really was that close with my father, but I did have like a really great relationship with my grandfather, and so it did remind me of that. And I think it can also resonate with a lot of people who read it, because it can be like any physically male figure in your life that might not be there anymore, you know, or just kind of dealing with someone who's passed on, you know, and how you kind of can have like one good thing, like one thing that really brings you back to the moment that you had with them. And that's kind of like what this book Hacks is about. And so I'm excited to share with you all. It's not out yet, but it will be out soon. I will put links for it when it comes out, and we'll be doing some promotion for it. But I just wanted to give you all a heads up on one of the projects that I'm doing, and hopefully I can do some more similar to that. So along with this project, there's also another one that's coming out the door. Everything's done. It's already sent off to copyright. Everything's done for it, you know. The illustrations have been done, the cover work's done. It's really cool. So hopefully I'll be sharing it with you guys pretty soon. You know, we'll see. Alright, what else can I share with y'all? That's been on my heart. Let me think. I don't know. Alright, so I'm just gonna keep following along. I have a choke in my throat. I don't know that we'll be able to finish this panel particularly today, but I mean, one thing I can share with you guys as we're getting ready to part is just like, don't listen to your inner critic. I mean, a lot of times you have to wait on things longer than you would like to, especially if it's a long-held dream. You know, I was just watching the documentary of Jeff Dunham, and he actually got a lot of opportunities early on, but he had like this big dream, you know, and that was like to be on the Johnny Carson show, which I guess was like Trevor Noah back in the 80s. But it was like a popular night show. Everybody watched it, and any comedian who wanted to be anything, you know, wanted to be on that show as a guest, you know, because it really would let your career take off. And so Jeff Dunham, which is the guy who does the puppet work. He's a stand-up comic who uses like the puppets, you know. I guess his most popular one is Peanut, but he also has like a couple of other ones, like an old man. He has like the skeleton one. I've watched his show before. It's pretty funny. But he was saying, he had this goal. He after college he decided to move to LA to try and pursue his comedy career, and he gave himself this goal of 10-year goal that for moving to LA that he would be on the Johnny Carson show. And so it was funny because like 9 years in, he kind of got this opportunity. Someone said, yeah, I want to put you on the show, and he was so excited. He spent $1,000 on this fancy suit to wear and everything. And he said, yeah, I just want to give you a couple of pointers, so we're going to do like one more stand-up gig or whatever, and then we'll be going to the show. And so he did the other show, he did the gig, and he was waiting to hear back from the guy, and the guy was like, nah, you know what, I changed my mind, like, you're not ready. And he was like devastated. It broke his heart. He thought he was missing his goal forever, because it was 9 years in, and he had the 10-year goal, and he just thought, I'm ruined. But he kept going. He like kept doing more shows. He kept getting more like people to give him feedback. He kept like, being even more, determined, I guess. And it was 9 years and 11 months that he finally got his opportunity to be on the show. And it's like, that kind of stuff is like, okay, that gives me at least a little bit of hope. Like, even though, like, obviously that's not everybody's story, but not everybody writes, a solid goal down like that. Like, this is my goal. 10 years after I moved to LA, I want to be on this show, this particular show. That's my goal. And for me, it might be to work at this particular studio, and feature or whatever. And I've only been out here in LA for 5 years, It hasn't been, incredible amount of time. So when I hear stories like that, I'm like, alright, you know what? Maybe I still have some time. Maybe, just maybe, I still have some time and I can actually accomplish this goal. It's a big dream, and it's, it might not be the easiest thing I've ever done, but at the same time, I'm not giving up. I'm continuing to work on my skill. I'm not waiting for luck or whatever. I'm waiting, they say luck is when opportunity meets readiness or whatever. When you're ready to experience it, that's when it actually happens. It's not going to happen. So just stay ready. When you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, sort of a thing. I think that's like a popular saying. But basically, yeah, I'm just trying to stay ready so that if the opportunity does come, when the opportunity does come, I'll be ready for it. And I would advise you to do the same thing. So stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Have a project that's done. And if you can, have several projects that are done to the best of your ability. Not perfect. You're going to mess up. I'm messing up. But I'm doing it best I can. I'm not trying to shortcut it or anything like that. I'm just trying my best. But I'm not overthinking it. I'm just trying to get this done to the best that I can right now, and just know that my future projects will be better, but this is the best I can do right now, and I'm happy with that. And I would highly advise for you to do the same thing. And with that being said, I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm almost done this page. I'm gonna finish this out, but I just want to leave you guys with some inspiration and with that little story, because it did inspire me, and hopefully it can inspire someone else out there too. I just think that we all need motivation sometimes. We all need something to feel hopeful about. It's not easy, especially when you're doing art. It can be a lonely profession, especially you haven't made it yet. You're working at home, you're trying to get better, you're trying to put content out, and we just all need some inspiration sometimes. So hopefully that helps you out a little bit. Alright guys, I hope you have a great week. I'm going to be back here for my last few sessions of studying the masters, and I'm also going to be continuing to be doing Jaydi's story, making a graphic novel. So I hope that you guys can tune in. I will be back here next week, Monday and Tuesday. Today's Wednesday, right? Yeah, I'll be back here next week, Monday and Tuesday. So I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys next week.